Well, Canadians aren't immune to conspiracy theories. A recent survey showed that nearly half believe some COVID-19 conspiracy, whether it's that the coronavirus was genetically engineered in a lab as a biological weapon, or that 5G networks are to blame. Bad information seems to be spreading. The survey found that young people are more likely to believe in them, but all ages are susceptible. John Cook is an expert on misinformation from the George Mason University's Center for Climate Change Communication, and he is the co-author of the Conspiracy Theory Handbook. And he joins us from Fairfax, Virginia. John, thanks so much for joining us early on a weekend like this. Let's talk about why some people are vulnerable to believing in conspiracies.
Well, pandemics are a particularly, fertile period for conspiracy theories. When people feel threatened, when they feel out of control, then they're just more likely to believe conspiracy theories that tell us that there is a plan. It's an evil plan, but just that there is order and we're not just subject to random forces.
So let's talk about, in this current environment, any COVID conspiracies that you've really come across and are concerned about?
What I'm really concerned about are conspiracy theories that erode people's trust in institutions and in science and in scientific experts. Because when people don't follow the advice of experts, in a case of an infectious disease like COVID, then they're more likely to go out and endanger themselves and their community. So conspiracy theories that tell us that you can't trust scientists, that the scientists are part of the conspiracy, those can be quite dangerous.
It is, I think, difficult to talk about this without addressing the role that the internet has played in all this. Can you talk a bit about that, how it might have taken a lot longer years ago for a theory to travel, and now it can do that in a millisecond?
Yeah, I think it was a quote going back to the early 20th century that said that a lie can get halfway around the world before the truth gets a chance to put its pants on. And that was before Twitter. And so now people are able to spread misinformation so quickly, and any individual can potentially reach millions of people, whereas before it had to go through those gatekeepers, through the mainstream media. So the internet has made it a lot easier for misinformation to spread. And also the algorithms that social media platforms use can be dangerous, because it's the business model of these social media platforms is delivering information that people are more likely to interact with. So the more shocking, the more outrageous the content, the more likely it is to be clicked and liked.
You talked about Twitter being used to spread this information outside of the normal media channels. Someone who arguably became U.S. president because of his ability to do that, of course, Donald Trump. Can we talk a bit about some of the things that he said on Twitter and publicly about various cures and possible origins of COVID-19 and the effect that's had on people's thinking?
Yeah, I mean, when it's coming from just a random individual amongst the general public, that's potentially dangerous. But when it's coming from a political leader, that's especially dangerous. And when it's a political leader that a lot of people really look to and trust, regardless of what he says, that has a big influence. There's research in the climate change area, which I've done most of my research in, that finds that the biggest driver of public opinion about issues like climate change is cues from their political leaders. So what they say really matters.
How can people immunize themselves to debunk or to better come to grips with whatever the latest theory is out there?
Yeah, the good news about all of this is that while we don't yet have a vaccine for COVID-19, we are able to immunize ourselves against misinformation. And the way we do that is by learning the different techniques used to mislead us. The reason why we wrote the Conspiracy Theory Handbook was basically to help inoculate people against conspiracy theories. And we outline the 7 traits of conspiratorial thinking, so that when you see these different traits, when you see people who are immune to evidence, who interpret any random event as being part of a grand picture, those are traits, red flags of conspiratorial thinking.
One final quick question for you, sir. Is there a particular phenomenon in the spread of conspiracies that really worries you right now?
I think I alluded to this earlier, but I think it is that erosion of trust in institutions. And what I find really corrosive about conspiracy theories is that even if you don't believe the conspiracy theory, research has shown that when people hear conspiracy theories and recognize that they're ridiculous and don't believe them, it still has this influence on their trust in institutions. And so we really have to watch ourselves that we're not being, I guess, influenced to become more cynical about science and institutions because of all these conspiracy theories floating around.
John Cook, I want to thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. John Cook
Thank you.
is the co-author of the Conspiracy Theory Handbook.